let's get right away to the business, right? So since we are going to talk about the brand playbook, right, and we have diverse businesses, their owners sitting in front of us, I would like to start with Mr. Krishna Mohan. For any brand who is now setting out in its journey for transformation or expansion or growth, what is the step one? What would you recommend that they should start with?
So first of all, very good morning to all of you, and thank Vipin and the team for organizing this conclave, almost the first of the kind in Hyderabad that I'm attending. So compliments to Bridge Gap for this
Thank you, sir.
initiative. Now coming to your question, the first thing, I think some of the things, I don't know whether Vipin wanted to steal the thunder out of our talk. He mentioned most of the points in the 10 charter that he has given out here. But I'll set the tone once again on some of the important components that at least I, in my 35 years of experience, have seen businesses evolve from one level to the other. Therein, the first I feel is you draw up what you want to do, and what we simple terms we call it the vision. What do you want to be ultimately is what you should spell out very clearly. It's not in terms of numbers per se, but what is the problem or what is the solution that you're going to give this world. So your vision has to be clear. And once you set up your vision, I think many things fall in place. Now there are a school of thoughts which I think Vipin also has touched. How open should you be in communicating your vision? Or I have my own school of thought on this. You need not communicate in stage one. While many may not agree with me, but there is a reasons for, because you yourself are not clear. But at the same time, I'll just draw an analogy. If I started from my residence today, and I don't know where I'm going, my driver will take me anywhere that he likes, not what I like. It's as simple as that. So at least you know, and you communicate to the person who's with you, at least the step one, that where do you want to go. And I think it's very important to articulate and be very clear in the mind. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And I think that's, in my opinion, the first step for any businessman, organization, brand, individual. I don't think one can compromise on these things. It applies across the life. It is for both professional and personal purposes. This becomes a very important element. So my take is draw out your vision statement and make sure that you have enough clarity, if not total clarity on it, as far as the stage one is concerned.
Right. So once we set the vision, once we internally debate with our teams, once we take external stakeholders on board and set out the vision, I would like to ask Mr. Jaipuriar, where do you go from there? That's kind of setting a vision which kind of is with you, right? How does it come to the real life? How does it come to fruition?
It's a very difficult thing to answer. Had we known this, that what is the right steps, all of us wouldn't be here debating and discussing what to do. So it's a bit of a try and see and do. If I were to jargonize it, I would say that draw up a plan, do your step one, do your step two. But as NKM boss tells us, and I fondly call him that, so I'll take that liberty to address him that way, not a very formal way. So what he said was like, you should have a vision. It's like, and I would articulate with an example. It's about, it's like when we all have solved jigsaw puzzles, yeah? And the first step that we do in solving a jigsaw puzzle is to have the picture in front of you of the puzzle that you are going to make, right? So that's really what you do with businesses as well. You need to have as he rightly said, put a vision on top, and then say that, okay, if this is my vision and I were to put my puzzles in piece, what do I do? Yeah, and then you start doing it, and then you say that, okay, let me first piece up the corners. Yeah, because that's a little easier piece to push, and that's what you have to apply to your business, because not every business will be same. There won't be a playbook which tells you that, and I presume that we have people from a variety of businesses which are in variety of stages. So there is no one playbook which says that, okay, this is how you have to do it. It's about saying that at least I have a vision, and then I have got my pieces here. Let me drop my pieces, put my pieces along, and then see that which pieces fit into my scheme of things first. Yeah. Of course, it goes without saying that you probably need to put your plan, and as Vipin has already articulated, things like you need to figure out your budgets, you need to figure out what do you want to do as far as that plan is concerned. That vision needs to be broken down into pieces. Yeah, it's also like I'm a sports fanatic, so I keep giving this example of a cricket match. You need to kind of pace it out, saying that if I have to score this much in 20 overs, what do I do in first 5, what do I do in next 5, and what do I do in next 5, with all contingencies contingency plan as well. That is there in your box. So I think that's how it begins. I don't think so there is it'll take us a lot of time to kind of draw it out, saying that what do you want next.
So if I have to kind of ask you, where do people, processes and decision making fit into all this?
They're not people and process. These are very interesting debate, and to my mind it's not devoid of each other. It's the people who would drive the processes. But ultimately one has to transition to other, and because I understand that a lot of family businesses are here, and the intuitive thing for a family business to do is to have faith on people. Yeah, that's an intuitive thing to do, and that's what most family businesses across the world do. But ultimately what happens is that the people has to transition into processes, and that is where, and I think when Vipin was giving some of his examples, one that came to my mind, and I think you would have, I don't know whether heard of it or not, I was in Dabur, and we used to have these quarterly meetings with the family members, which was called the management committee meeting. And in that quarterly meeting we used to kind of tell the management committee that what has happened in the last quarter and what we are going to do in the next quarter, and it also had any new things that we wanted to do. So we and I was in the room, and there was another team which was presenting, and you all are probably familiar with this brand called Hajmola from Dabur. Yeah. So the team wanted to launch a new variant of Hajmola. It was a new flavored Hajmola tablet that was to be launched, and everything was ready. The launch plan was ready, and the team was presenting the plan that this is how we are going to launch the new variant. And they presented, and the product was given to all the people sitting in the room. And Dr. Anand Burman, who's the chairman of Dabur and from the family, he popped up that Hajmola tablet into his mouth, and he spitted it out and said, "What crap you guys have prepared." And there was a complete stunned silence in the room, because the chairman of and who happens to be the family and the owner of the company, he has spitted out the bottle. Everything is ready in terms of launch. All preparedness is done. And he says that this is totally crap. I don't think so this is going to work. And there was a stunned silence, and we didn't know what to do. And while we were waiting, Mr. Duggal, who was the CEO then of Dabur, he asked the team that, have you done the product research or not? Have you done the consumer testing or not? Show me the results of consumer testing. And they put the result of the consumer testing, and it said that the top box score was 95%, which means 95% people had liked the product. Yeah. And he said that the top box scores, where does the top box score points to? The team said that it points to the fact that the consumers have loved the products, it's okay, and that's the reason we had gone ahead with the launch process. So he said that, okay, fine, we are going to launch the product. So that's it's only an example to kind of illustrate how processes are so important, because what it does is that it removes the personal biases or my personal inclinations towards something that may creep in. So people and processes are something that need to kind of, while go hand in hand, but we need to realize and accept the fact that process is something that you need to kind of adhere to. Yeah, because that is something, and this is famously, I tell that as entrepreneurs, you are supposed to take risks, and that risk that you are taking will be minimized by the process that you will follow. Yeah, process is nothing else, but it is minimizing of your risk. So once you have taken a risk that, okay, I want to do something, I want to launch this, I want to get into this business, probably process helps you to minimize that. Yeah, that's
Right, very well said. And since we kind of touched upon the product part as well, right, and to everyone who is sitting in this room, cracking the right product is always the biggest challenge, right? I mean, there is no debate on that, that the product has to be right and it has to work, right? So I would like to ask Mr. Chaudhry, since he comes from the background of, Pulse Candy, a product which all of us have tried and all of us have absolutely loved, right? So what's the role of this consumer insight in the product development part, and can you help us with something, a structured approach to an R&D, right, which leads us to a repeatable and not an unpredictable kind of an outcome?
Yeah, first of all, thanks a lot. Thank you very much, Bridge Gap, and especially the promoter and the founder who believed in us to put across a lot of insights which we have. And at the same time, there are a lot of entrepreneurs. In fact, fortunately, I could able to spend one day in Hyderabad yesterday, and I met a couple of women entrepreneurs who are into the field of, one is in the field of chemicals, and one is building her own trading business. And I could able to sense a lot of pride, a lot of enthusiasm in the new generation which is coming up. So that is something which is amazing, I would say. And looking at specifically what Kapil said, it's very simple in terms of an ideation. I could able to pick up the point from Mr. Praveen. Exactly whatever is your understanding on the product cannot be right always. See, when you are sitting in a room or when you are sitting in your close group, your insights should be very different from what consumer is expecting out of you. See, on a simple feedback, if somebody is supposed to create a 2 BHK or a 3 BHK, then he is not supposed to sit in a villa and thinking of the consumer expectations, what that guy would be looking at. If that is the understanding entrepreneurs has, then consumer insights are very simple to make. Get into a process which gives you a clarity of what consumer is actually wanting, what exactly is your consumer. If that clarity is there, then anything and everything is very much possible in terms of innovation, in terms of creating something from a R&D process. Again, it's basically a simple matrix which comes from a very big, very small steps like creating a funnel exercise in terms of lot of ideas will come to you. It is not that every time entrepreneur is supposed to create the idea and develop it and then put it across. It can always be vice versa. You have big teams running for you. You can always take the insights, you can create a lot of understanding around that. Obviously, the testing part is something which is important. Every step needs to be tested. Processes is something which is there, listed down. You can always glance through what are the processes which can be picked up. But same time, when you are testing it, test it among the clear audience as the Hajmola experience. So that was not supposed to be the target audience. हो सकता है Mr. Burman was not the target audience for that particular product, and that 1 rupee product or something, it's supposed to be eaten by somebody who is having that particular desire. So when you are testing the product and you are checking it on the satisfaction level, okay, that process has given you the indication, okay, the real consumer is liking the product, you are home and dry. And same time looking at the insights from DS, I'm sure you guys are aware about DS. Looking at Pulse Candy as an example, it was simple maths. There is no rocket science behind it. We have simply created a Indian ethnic flavor for the audience, जो आज इंडिया का कंज्यूमर को टेस्ट करने वाली चीज़ थी, उसी को क्रिएट किया था. And some innovation was there in masala inside, and there was a burst, and that was again the history. After looking at the initial success, the best part with that particular product was we never kept it ke we have to manufacture it, we have to create the brand so that nobody can copy and all that stuff. In a year of span, like we have almost done from 1 CMU to almost 13 CMUs. Contract manufacturing के process से ही you could able to get that success. So all these things are not supposed to be everything is capital heavy, everything is investment heavy. Things are there, and you guys can always create a lot of understanding behind that.
So, sorry to interrupt
Yeah,
you
yeah.
saying. No, so what I hear is there are enough capabilities out there, right? You need to pick up your own core capability, right? As an organization, what is it that you stand for? And then everything else need not be capital intensive, done in-house. There are enough capable partners who are sitting outside who can help you reach where you're reaching, right? If I have to just summarize that, right? So thank you so much for that insight. Now, beyond the product, the key decision or the key issue that always, is at the discussion table in a boardroom is of expansion, right? Is of now in a particular geography, particular product, we have cracked the proof of concept, right? Now, how do we take it beyond, right? And I would like to ask Mr. Gourish Naik, how would you visualize the role of branding in that brand building and a little bit of sales and distribution, some key that you can give us?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you to Vipin, first of all, and to Bridge Gap as well for this opportunity. Yeah, well, we've talked about vision, we talked about the people and processes, and we talked about the insights what Abhishek has given. I think one thing we should remember, that there is a difference between the product idea and the brand idea. Both cannot be the same. Everybody can come up with a product idea, and the moment we come up with a product idea, what happens? We get excited. I brought this active wear. I brought this, spandex or the modal based inner wear. So we just, as an entrepreneur, we suddenly, get kicked, and also we get inspired from the global brands that I am able to make a product which a global brand makes at a much affordable price, So there's a huge difference between the product and the brand idea. So today I'm able to make a product by getting inspired from a global brand, and not necessarily that tomorrow Abhishek cannot launch the same product, So that is where the gap is. That is exactly what Vipin has started, which is the bridge gap. I would like to say, brand idea is all about the beginning of the brand strategy. That is when you need to have someone who is come from that background, who understand this entire exercise. There are a lot of people, they just take it as that this is my vision, this is my product strategy, and get into the marketing exercise. But cracking the brand idea, and here is a consumer, this is his niche, and hence I'm trying to talk to him in differently. It might be the same product and active wear like everybody is selling, but the way I approach to the consumer has to be unique to me actually. That is when the brand strategy starts, if you ask me. And I would like to share a couple of examples of my, during active wear days when I was working on a brand called Performax. There was absolutely no strategy in the beginning about the brand, but everybody was saying, I have an active wear, I can sell anywhere. So we were selling active wear in a Reliance Trend store, and people came, saw the product, nice looking product, and bought the product and went home and started using it. I've seen people going to the same product to the temple, but many people don't know, and we never talked from the brand point of view what is the right use of the product. Hence, the starting point has to be the brand idea, and hence the consumer needs. That's how it should begin actually. And I just missed the last second.
The sales and distribution.
Sales and distribution, yeah. Many a times I've seen that in family business that sales team who are selling at the front end, right? They go and talk about one particular product. Okay, they say, I have this new innerwear, I have this new active wear, and this price is so much. It's this is a kind of schemes, this is a kind of offer. This is how they talk to the trade actually. See, unless and until we train the sales executives or a sales area sales manager thoroughly about the product, it is impossible to create the expansion or the reach what we are looking at basically. So so the training is at most important, I would say, when you're trying to build the, the expansion. And the way the owner is so passionate, marketing team is so passionate in the company, similarly we have to make sure that, the guy who's going to sell the product to the consumer, to the trade, is absolutely explaining the benefit and differentiator to the trade. So that is what an important thing is, what I feel.
Right. So one key takeaway from what Mr. Gourish said, that it's relatively easier to copy and replicate a product idea. It's that much more difficult to copy a brand, right? It's very difficult to replicate who you are by someone else. And that's where probably the consumer stickiness comes in. That's where the repeat purchases come in, right? So thank you so much. Thanks for, initial thoughts. The next, probably the thought that we would like to discuss was, what are the emerging trends that all of you are seeing in brand building in today's times, right? Because all of us have seen certain things work. The consumers have changed. COVID has changed the consumer behavior to a certain extent, and then again it went back to the older habits, right? So now sitting in 2025, what it means or what it takes or where you should be when in your journey to building of a brand. So yeah, please.
I think going forward, personalization is the key actually. You need to think through, it's very hard in a mass brand to cater to the individual needs of everyone. But how can we see the personalized, service to any of the consumer is a way forward, if a way forward. And many times, I also feel that in a family business, we talk a lot about the business, the communication, all of that. But somewhere the consumer experience, is not really captured. So if you capture the consumer experience in detail, and then if you start talking the personalization, that is where the game is ahead, is what I feel.
Okay. Mr. Krishna Mohan, if you would like to throw some light on that.
I think there are multifaceted approach to this brand building, or what we talk about the latest trends in brand. It's not one medicine suits all, or it's not a band-aid approach. It's all about what you have first. What is your product and who's your target consumer? As he said, Gourish has mentioned, in a mass product, maybe the way you approach the consumer today stands largely the way it has been before too. It's not changed so much. I'm not saying it hasn't changed. I'm only saying it hasn't changed as much as some of the other fields it has changed. And it also depends on where in the spectrum of, or where in the life cycle of the product are you in. Today, for a startup or for a business which is just emerging, to fall back only on digital marketing and sell and be successful, we were not able to think about that maybe 20, 30 years back. So that's one big change. So the entry barriers have become almost nil, right? So if you have the product, you have the brand idea, you have some sort of money to communicate, you still can reach the consumer. Earlier, we needed to build, even if they are expensive, a sales system or a sales and distribution system, a high cost marketing to reach the consumer. Today, I do not think that is the need. So this is the first trend that is emerging. The second is the whole concept of brand. Again, it is not universal that I'm saying. It applies to one product, one brand. It may not, one category. It may not apply to all the categories. I think today, the ownership of the brand, I'm not talking about in the literal meaning way that the ownership is not with the promoter, but the brand's fate is decided by consumers in much more stronger way than it was earlier. So in many ways, the consumer is telling what he wants the brand or the product to deliver for him. That is one another big change that is happening. Though it may not be, again, as I said, keep on repeating. I mean, if you assume that Dabur Amla or a Boro Plus or a Zandu Balm to have this kind of, it may not happen. Or it will take a still longer time for the brand to evolve into that kind, because they are elephants as such. So these are the two paramount things. Third, I think I'll just go back to the whole discussion that we were having on the vision, people, structure. I'm sorry, I'm going back because that was in my mind it was important for me to spell out. I think businesses should understand where they are coming from and what the consumers want much more than what they have been doing in the last 20, 30 years. Today, with the emergence of social media, with the emergence of the data that is available in the public domain, there is a lot that you can do. The problem is, if we want everything to be done by you or the owner, I think we have to be very careful in understanding what our limitations are. I think many businesses, I consult many small entrepreneurs, promoters in my journey, and the problem is, hum sab kuch janta hai. And I mean, it's not about family promoters. We as professionals also went through that, right? So don't mind me saying that, but this is an individual trait rather than whether he's a businessman or a professional. I have seen worst of the CEOs who don't move their butt out, but want to take all the decisions in the world, right? I have been like that. Maybe my junior might be telling me, yes, right? So this could happen. The problem is today's world doesn't accept that. And I think companies, people who realize this earlier stand to gain a lot. I'm not saying they're going to be successful or not, but stand to gain a lot. And it is important that in the current context of how the brands are playing, this bit understanding is very important.
True.
Last but not the least, the team that you are creating. I'm getting into a slightly divergent views, but it answers in a certain way the question that you asked about what are the emerging trends. Because the emerging trends needs an approach differentiation. It's not that everybody has Instagram and we see Tom, Dick and Harry flashing on my phone every now and then without even me wanting it, right? But how to do it? I am saying don't be shy to ask help. Your team today is not your own team. It's not your own employees.
Right.
I mean, for many of my customers, I am a part of their team. I am not employed today. Bridge Gap may be your team. Please understand that when you seek help, please treat them as a part of your system till the time they are associated with you. Otherwise, what will happen is the world is changing fast. I don't know what we talk today. 3 months down, is it going to hold or not? The world is moving at that pace. We talked about ChatGPT. One fine morning, one fellow rose in China and said something else. And we are all skating, ki ye kya hai? So when you realize that, I do not know is the best approach today that one should have. I do not know whether this will apply to me. I do not know this subject. Accepting this becomes very important. The problem with many of us is that we don't move away. We feel that हम जो 30-35 साल से करते आए हैं, that is the Bible. No, it is not any longer.
I think a very key takeaway from what Mr. Krishna Mohan said is, it's high time now that we build systems to hear what our consumers are saying and what our teams are saying. And how do we do that is going to be be the key to come up with better products, better responses, and better experience for the consumers, right? So, Mr. Jaipuriar, if you would like to add to the emerging trends from, a category which is as niche, I would still like to say niche as coffee.
I think all people have covered that what are the emerging trends. The consumers are getting much and much more powerful. A lot of customization is being sought. So you can see, till 5 years ago or 6 years ago, even in a category like coffee, you would see plain simple coffees, and only in last 5-6 years you are seeing so much of innovation that is happening. So the consumers are demanding, they have become very, very demanding. That is very this thing, and that is one thing which every brand owner, owner has to be very careful about. Remember 20 years ago, you gave a bad product to the consumer. The only place that he could have complained is go back to the retailer and said that this product is not good. Yeah, this toothpaste is not good, or this juice is not good. But today the power has shifted from manufacturers, brand owners and businesses to the consumers. Now consumers have the liberty, as and when they don't like anything, they have the liberty to just put it on social media, and that creates havoc for your brand, or the businesses. So one has to be very, very mindful, and these are the emerging trends. One thing I just want to kind of, touch upon is that sometimes we mistake, or we are not very clear about between the means and the end. Yeah, we talk a lot about social media, and suddenly, in fact, every day I get almost 10 to 12 inboxes in my mail saying that, hey, Jaipuriar, I am this agency and I can do push your sales by 10x. Hey, we'll do performance marketing and this and that. And a lot of these things come, and suddenly you start believing that there is a magic line somewhere, yeah.
Somebody has cracked the code.
Somebody has cracked the code, and he can. Believe me, it doesn't happen like that, because social media is a medium and not an end in itself, yeah. And therefore, I see brands, the emerging trend. It is not an emerging trend. It's a trend that has been there for ages, centuries, how many hundreds and hundreds of years. If brands are purposeful and they are relevant to your consumers, you need not worry. Sooner or later, people will, it will find its way to the hearts of the consumer. Yeah, and the very pertinent example that I give to prove this point is that in 1941, when Mahatma Gandhi called for a Dandi March, there was no social media there then. There was no TV then. Yeah, 10 lakh people came behind him. Why? The idea was very powerful. The idea was very purposeful. Yeah, and because the idea was very purposeful, it need not require any social media, any TV, any radio to kind of publish that idea. So first and foremost thing that we must be very particular about that, have we created a relevant product, a relevant idea which will strike the heart of my consumer. These days you see so many fancy things, and that's the problem that brands get into. I see so much of fanciful stuff on social media. There's such nice designs, there's such nice brands, there's such this thing. And when you go, all these brands are running into losses. Why is that so? Such beautiful packaging, such beautiful brand name, because they are all Me Too, creating beautiful this thing, bombarding consumers. He said 10 blokes come to him on Instagram saying that I want to sell you this, I want to sell you this. And the moment next day you don't, bombard him, you are out of his mind. You are out of your consumer's mind. There are so many brands which are struggling. Trust me, as a coffee company, we are the sole suppliers to a lot of D2C brands. Very fanciful brands, I can't take the names right here, but trust me, they're all going through massive, massive problems. And the owners and these things, they come and they're sitting in our office and they say that, can I get 60 days of more credit? And I say that yesterday night you were receiving the best D2C brand award in that ceremony, and today you are asking for 60 more credit. He says, boss, life is very difficult. The day I don't give offers on social media, the day I don't bombard my consumers, I don't get sales. And why? Because you have created a very fanciful product, very fanciful packaging, beautiful looking this thing, but there is no relevant story. The day you don't give an offer, the consumer says, I'll buy another brand. Because there is another brand which is trying to, bombard the consumers with the money that they have. So one has to be very, very careful. Is the brand, and that's the starting point, and that is the end point. That is the brand relevant and purposeful to your consumer or not. If it is there, then yes, you have a winner in your hand. If it is not, if it is a Me Too product and you believe that I've created something fanciful, I've created a good packaging, good brand name, forget it.
Right. So now, since we were talking about doing something which has purpose or differentiated and it's solving a particular problem, right? So I'll come up to another challenge that we usually face is the part of innovation, right? And a lot of times we see other brands, coming up with innovative products or innovative communication or innovative promotional channels, and we see that, okay, there is some magic that has happened in the boardroom, right? So I would like to start with Mr. Chaudhry and would like to ask him, is there a structure to innovation? Innovation by, the concept seems like magic and seems like something which is unstructured, but is there a method to that madness?
I would say there is no magic behind any innovation. Innovation can come from a gut feel. Okay, you feel like this idea can work, and there could be a way more structured understanding on the subject, and you approach the innovation in that way. Giving the example, like within DS only. So way back, almost 2 decades back, we came up with the idea of sprinklers. सो टेबल टॉप स्प्रिंकलर्स हैं, फ्री फ्लोइंग सोल्ट चाहिए, बहुत फटी डडी स्प्रिंकलर्स पड़े होते थे टेबल्स पे, एंड पीपल यूज टू कंज्यूम दैट. They find it very irrelevant or unhygienic at some point of time. So we came up with a very simple idea. Let's look at some bit of understanding from the western part of the world and let's try and replicate or improvise it in the Indian understanding how we can develop the kind of product. The product was very niche and it was ahead of our time, but today if I'll say that particular innovation can create a food business which is almost 40% of our total revenue today. A group which was known for their tobacco and related products or mouth fresheners as a category, today we are almost 40% of our business is coming from food and beverage. So that's the kind of innovations, how the innovations work in your favor. At the same time, बहुत simple idea था and we executed it well and we built that particular idea for a longer period. Today within spices as a category, that particular sprinkler is how much? It is just 10% of my total business. But that equity which we got from that particular thing could able to generate a business size which is almost 10 times what we are selling a sprinkler today.
Yeah, that opened the doors to the households for the brand.
So reiterates the point that it solves some problem.
Correct. Yeah, it
So
solves some problem.
That is something which is definitely being one of the key thing. Whenever you think, you have to think from a consumer mindset, what understanding or what need gaps that particular person is facing today. If you are able to achieve that, then there could be a structured way to address that particular thing. So only thing, let's not confine ourselves to a limited understanding what is there in the world of digital as everybody said, but at the same time you have to be very sure कि आज consumer जो है वो react करता है and gone are the days I have been heard or I have listened to those things कि 10 years back when there was one single communication or a complaint comes to us, we used to be very serious about that. कि it's not that कि इसको मुझे math से बिठाना है, it's something कि people were not having means to reach out to you. If somebody out of 100 is coming to you with a complaint, that means it's serious. And today, if you are listening to consumers, because they will approach you on social media, they will approach you through any other network. So those things are supposed to be very, very carefully understood. Okay, when you are creating a brand, you have to create a value for the consumer. So if there is a value for the consumer, then your brand building starts from an emotional angle. Basis your product needs or product satisfaction first. So that's the premise.
That's it.
A little bit about the
Sure.
structure for innovation. To be honest, I believe that there is a lot of structure to innovation, especially in organizations which are evolved, which are large, which can put in a lot of finances behind R&D or anything. There is definitely a structure and a very well researched, documented, and what should I say, successful models are there. I don't want to get into that. But the whole thing of innovation as a structure in organizations when they are small or when they are evolving, I think the biggest structure is to listen. I think the day you have a forum to listen and your ability to listen and bring out insights out of that, I think those organizations are successful. I'll give you two examples when into these innovations, and these are well read, well documented, and most of the marketers speak. But since I come from some of the organizations that I worked, the 1 rupee sachet revolution of shampoo, most of you must have heard, has come from a company from down south called Kevin Care. The owner, and whom I respect a lot, he was the one who challenged the biggies of the industry, saying that I can bring out a 1 rupee sachet. It was not important that he could bring out a sachet. What should be the content? How much does the hair require, for more from a male perspective rather than a female perspective? Shampoo goes into it. He was the one who was in the markets of Kadlore, Vellore, day in and out to understand the consumer. So there was an idea which was given by, you won't believe it, but a worker in the factory. For him, he said that I can't afford, at that time the 50 ml shampoo used to cost about 22 rupees. I can't afford this. So I use my normal soap to cleanse my hair. And this person had the ability to go and tell this to the managing director or the owner of the company. At that time, Kevin Care was what? About 50, 60 crore company. And one revolution took Mr. C.K. Ranganathan to where he was. Two things I admire about him is his ability to listen. And then structure these conversations across various bodies. So he will have people talking to him at various pop strata, various things, ideating on what can be done. He will not listen to complaints. He say, if you have complaints, you go and talk to the professional team. Okay. I will hear what we can do better. Same example I'll give you, another company which is dear to me. Me and Vipin come from the same company. Emami, fair and handsome. Another story of beautifully crafted insight which has come from the distributor fraternity. The fraternity told us that the whole thing that they said, out of 100 Fair and Lovely users, 35 were male. Would you believe it? And that number hasn't changed much even today as we speak. It has come to 28%. It's a significant contribution coming from Fair and Lovely to, for the male population on Fair and Lovely brand. This person went and told our team, saying that why don't you bring out a men's fairness cream? Again, somebody heard it. There was a structure to listen. There was a structure to pass on this information. And more importantly, there was somebody who was listening and doing things which were required. So the consumer want has been met. So my structure is simple, especially in the stage which most of the entrepreneurs are here, is to please listen to ideas. You don't have to follow everything. We here, I think Praveen is here as a marketer, he would hear 1,000 ideas in a day. And he will find better marketers than himself, giving advice but not have achieved anything. But he is here because he picked up that one idea. One insight, I wouldn't say idea, but one insight that makes brands or people who are owning those brands successful. There are 1 in thousands, 1 in 1,000, I may be exaggerating, 1 in millions maybe, what clicks. But do you have the wherewithal and the structure to listen, analyze, and imbibe what is there is more important. So for me, to this group, the structure is, please listen to you, all your people. We have, I don't know how many of you heard, I'm sorry I'm taking a minute longer, R.S. Agarwal ji, who is the chairman of Emami. Whenever there is a new product or a new advertisement, he calls first all the, we are the 6th floor people. That means all the top functional heads, CEOs, etc. of the organization. Vipin must be aware of this. We call it Jumla, right? But that's his way. And he used to show us the product, apply kar lo, yeah, advertising, acha laga kya? And then he would have packed us up within 5-7 minutes. He would have heard. Then the whole scenarios used to go till the pune level of the organization. It depends on what he wants to communicate, but advertising, definitely. आपको समझ में आ रहा है क्या? अच्छा लग रहा है क्या? क्या समझा? He would take half an hour with them, and with the little so-called seniors, he would take 10 minutes. Because he says, you are not my consumers, they are my consumers. But the ability to have a system, until he was out of business a few years back, this was his regime always for any new product, any new advertising, anything that new in the organization, he would go down to that level, which is very rarity. And we professionals think, kya pune ko puchna hai. But for him, it mattered, and he used to make notes of it. He used to carve out strategies based on that insights or the feedback that he used to receive.
Yeah, I think it sounds like an Indian entrepreneur's typical, structure of consumer research. Where is your consumer? Is there in the building? Let's ask him only. Why do you want a market research agency? Right, makes sense.
No, he would never say, why do you want a market research? It's his method of validation. There is nothing called letting people lower. I mean, it doesn't mean that we don't have market research agencies, we don't have great advertising strategies. I mean, we had Alec Padamsi sitting in the room and he used to call, ad samajh mein aaya gaya. Right? So, there is nothing wrong about validating what, please don't mind. Neither Alec would have mind or I would mind if somebody said that I'm taking a validation. You should have the large heart to listen to the feedback. And if you don't have and think, as I said in the first case, if you think that I know all, I think they are the successful entrepreneurs and there won't be some. Right? And so that's the magnanimity of the persons who build large businesses is the way that I'm putting it across.
And importance of asking the relevant person, the product for whom it has been designed.
Obviously.
Right. Mr. Gourish, if you want to add something, or Mr.
Yeah, I
Jaipuriar,
think
anybody.
Mr. Mohan, as you know, rightly mentioned all of the point. I think see, first of all, it's a kind of expensive department. Sometime, family business look at it like that. But again, one should be a little mindful about the category which we are operating, if sometime, we expect out of the box kind of idea to come from an innovation department, but are we in the same category, to launch that out of the box idea? Because, when you are in an affordable category, if you come up with a fantastic idea, you might get shifted to another, 2 or 3 times above your segment, That won't work for you actually. But what I would say is that one is, as you rightly mentioned, you have to closely listen to the consumer, your own trade system as well, and look for a global inspiration as well. Try and make the best product which are maybe 2-3 segments away from you can be made in your category, and learn from it whether it can create a great consumer experience. Again, even anything you launch as an innovation, but keep in mind your brand idea. You can't keep launching something just because a new thing, as a part of your season, but it should there should be some link back to your brand idea, because brand idea is always a unique, and what you're launching has to have kind of a link to the brand idea. That's what I would like to say.
I think that's where the whole vision
Yes,
and the
absolutely.
system and process kind of comes in, right? It keeps us on the track.
Absolutely.
Right. So, Mr. Jaipuriar, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, no, I think all relevant points have been spoken about this thing, but the problem is that ideas won't come to you often. No, it's not like a bulb that will kind of light up and you kind of keep waiting for it. And I would kind of agree to the fact that ultimately, if you are looking for new ideas before somebody else looks for it, so you need to go through a structured approach. Not every time you'll get a very bright idea saying that, okay, I've got this idea. So all the time, if you are looking for an innovation, I think there is a structured approach, and I'm sure people like Bridge Gap, they help you structure this kind of approach to say that what is that innovation. Suppose, let's say if I'm in a reality business, and suppose you want to say that everything has been done, what innovation I can get. So obviously you have to, and there is no idea. Yes, ideas do come to you, like Mr. Mohan, when he said that, CKR, he probably heard somebody saying that I need a smaller shampoo, I can't buy a 22 rupees bottle. But at the same time, sometimes you may not be in a position to hear, or you may not be, that hearing cannot happen all the time. So you have to devise a structured way of hearing. Now, what is this structured way of hearing? Is to get associated with professional teams to say that, okay, if I were to launch a, let's say, a reality project, so what could be a good structured way of understanding? Because see, a lot of times we wait for something very big. Not all innovations need to be big. There could be very small innovations also. Yeah, somebody was giving a school's example, Vipin, I think, in his presentation, that what is a small innovation that, after all, it's a CBSE school. What innovation? Sometimes in coffee we wonder, what else can you do? You cannot create a chai and say that it is a coffee. Yeah, it cannot be so differentiated. It has to be a little distinctiveness here or there. Yeah, so it has to be very little innovation. So how do you come up with these little innovations? Or the candy, an Indian version of a candy. So not all the times you will get an idea. So sometimes you have to, not sometimes, many times, you have to kind of take support of a structured way, and there are structured way. There is a funnel that we spoke about. There has to be an innovation funnel, and that innovation funnel, there is a structured way to go to the consumers. Not every time a trade guy or a consumer will come to you and say that I have this pain point. To understand his pain point, you will have to go in a structured way. To understand him, do some studies. It may not be frightfully expensive, but at least do some studies in a structured manner to come back and say, okay, this is what I want to build. Right. So I think there is no running away from a structured way of doing innovation.
Right. So thank you so much for that comment. What we will do is we'll close the session with, I would like to start with Mr. Gourish Naik, and if you can just briefly tell us about the common mistakes or pitfalls in marketing, right, that you would leave us with, that we should avoid.
Yeah, I think over the years, what I've seen that, be it a MNC or be it a family-owned business, everybody would like to launch fast, I would like to launch quickly. They set the deadline. This is my go to market launch date, and everything has to fall in place. And the moment someone comes back and says, okay, this thing is not working, I may need to do a little bit of a research to understand a little bit better insights, or if I have to spend a little bit more time with an advertising agency to crack a better brand idea, a communication idea. People don't take it in the right way. They think you are not part of my journey. That is not the right way. I mean, it is not the speed at which you would like to launch, but the matter is that you have to be successful, right? It is not just I have done my launch as a KRA. If let's say I have done my launch, that's a launch is done. But the end of the result is the impact has to make in the consumer. So I think keeping that thing in mind, you have to be absolutely sure that start early. Give a good time so that your launch is good launch you will have. At the same time, you don't make a typical mistakes which anybody would do when you're starting in a quick thing.
Right, Mr. Chaudhry.
Yeah, in fact, I would suggest that whatever is the understanding, it's very clear in that terms. There are mistakes which can always happen, but you should not shy away with any sort of taking risk in tune to get into an understanding. So research is something which is very important, and I think most of us reiterated that time and again. Whatever step you are making, don't take a step just by looking at somebody else. So as Mr. Praveen rightly said, there are a lot of red P&Ls which we may not be able to see. When we see a lot of startups moving in one favor or moving in one direction, because somebody is so big, but what sort of P&L they are running, we really don't know. And those sort of things are very clear in terms of your business. You have to be careful enough, whatever you are investing, then let's be clear on the consumer benefit. So if there is a value proposition, then you will be able to address all the pitfalls.
Right.
Two things, I think we have spoken about this. Two things from my side. One mistake that we should avoid is, getting into that Me Too syndrome. So just because somebody else has done it, I should also do it. Because that really doesn't have long legs, because it doesn't go very far in distance, because you're not creating any differentiation for the consumers. That is one. And second is that, and it is just not about marketing brands. It goes true for marketing brands, businesses, everything, is a word called patience. Yeah, we are becoming a very impatient society, and that reflects on our, the way we look at businesses as well and brands as well. And this is the whole ecosystem is being driven by that, yeah, like that. So earlier we used to see the annual sales figures, yeah. Then we started looking at quarterly sales figures. Then we started, time of ERP came. Now we are looking at minute sales figures, yeah. So, and generally a lot of times I see impatience builds up, and then you start doubting your own thing. See, all of this, and I say this very jokingly to a lot of people, that building businesses, brands is like mutual funds. Yeah. Why? Because one, they are subject to market risks. But that's not the most important point. The more important point is that it requires time. So businesses require time for compounding. You can't put money into mutual funds today and say that did my money compound tomorrow. Yeah, you have to leave it for years for it to give you results. So businesses, you have to leave it for years. I have a very, live example in front of me. At Dabur, we launched real juices in 1996, yeah, and for good 10 years it did not make profit. But just because one of the family members, he was very convinced about the idea, and he made sure, because as managers we were not given more than 3 years. 3 years your P&L is not good, they would say that band karo usko, ye nahi chal raha, yeah? This is not working. But because he was at the helm, he said that no, I am convinced about this idea, I will kind of keep pushing it, and we pushed it till, a lot of, so we had a lot of verticals at Dabur. So a lot of people in the other verticals used to make fun of the guys in the food department. ये जितना माल बेचते नहीं उतना उठाते हैं वापस, because a lot of returns and all that would come. But because someone was very convinced about the idea, he said that no, I'll run it for good, till the time I am proven wrong, and ran it for good 8 to 9 years. The vertical did not break even, but once it did, there was no looking back. Today it's a more than 1,000 crore portfolio, pretty much profitable and doing extremely well.
And the Zeptos and Blinkits are making us even more impatient these days.
Yeah, everybody is making us impatient. The whole society, earlier we used to watch a serial wherein you watch it on a Sunday, the next episode would come on the next Sunday, yeah. And today you have got reels which are 30 seconds and you are just wanting to do that, yeah. Even if you have got series, you're binge watching it in the weekend, yeah. So you've got a Breaking Bad, you will watch some 30 episodes, you will finish it in one go. So that's the kind of impatience that is building, that should not translate into your businesses and brand building, because that is very detrimental. You will end up taking wrong decisions. You will be very short-sighted, and I'll end up with a little more, this thing affable. There's a movie, Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, wherein Shah Rukh Khan says that at every moment of life you will have two roads, yeah. Do raaste aayenge. One is very easy and a shortcut one, and one is a long cut, but it's a difficult one. But this is the rasta which I will always choose, yeah, because this is the rasta that leads you to the success, and this rasta leads you to the short-term success, which is not what you want. So if you want long-term successes, be patient with your businesses, be patient with your brands. So that's the second thing which I would like to say.
Great. Mr. Krishna Mohan.
Well, I think your question, first of all, was whether we did some mistakes. I think I would say there are two sides of it. In this world, again, the way it is, don't be afraid of making mistakes, is my humble suggestion. Because there is no one solution to many things that you can do. And you try something, succeed something. The worst thing that you can do is not do anything. Second, while I come back to the point number one we touched, if you know what your brand or what your company is, and you draw up guardrails, okay, this is what I want to do, and if you know that I don't want to overstep it at any circumstances, because for me, I advise people more than telling them what to do. Please draw up a charter what you will not do. Right? There are many things that people don't know what they can do, but they are very sure about, I won't do this. Somebody tells that I don't want to sell anything which is containing non-vegetarian. Somebody says that I don't want to do anything which contains alcohol. Somebody says I don't want to do anything which doesn't value people in the organization. So whatever is that no-go zone, if you have set your limits, please experiment. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Don't be... the problem is when you don't realize that you made a mistake and go about doing it unwisely, that becomes a little bit of an issue. Because there are so many things I'm sure Praveen might have tried, I might have tried, the gentlemen there would have tried in their organizations and I think many a times if you ask, I'm sure I'm answering on behalf of Praveen also, the number of failures we had may be much more than number of successes that we had.
10, 20 times more.
And it's of infinite proportion. I can't say, because we try everything. They could be tactical, they could be strategic. We fail. But I think the thing is we learn from that, and I think we if we are here today sermonizing certain things, it's because we are able to learn, stand up, and fight again. And I think that's what is important in the current zone. Also, I'd slightly differ from the point that Gourish or one of you had made. I think in this world, again, speed becomes the essence. Don't get into perfection because there's nothing called perfection now. If you are 80% sure about what you want to do, my advice is go for it. Because perfection will evolve over a time, and there is nothing called perfection. Even Apple has to release a new iPhone every year. When we talk about the best innovators in the world, they have to release something, because they could have released what they are releasing today 10 years back if they were so perfect. It's just that they are. You keep evolving. Some of these things have become intellectual, in my opinion, and lose time. 20 years back, that was a right approach. Today, I think all of you should realize the importance of time, because if you're not doing it, somebody else is doing it. And you may stand to lose. So my advice is two things. Make mistakes, not for want of mistakes, but don't be scared to admit mistakes. Try out, experiment many things within the guardrails that you set if they are not disturbing your businesses overall. Seek outside help. Definitely seek outside help wherever required. And third, importantly, please make sure that your organizations are capable to handle the transitions that are going to happen in each evolving stage, to both to rectify the mistakes or solidify the actions that you are taking. And I think that makes great organizations differentiate from good organizations. And all of us want to be great, not good, because there are so many good organizations. And I think it's important for all of you to realize that today's world demands certain things, which principally, even in my DNA, it's not there. I would agree with them, go slow, test, research. Today, I don't have the time and wherewithal. If my idea is taken, somebody else can copy it in 1 hour, if not lesser than that. So I think the speed, the essence becomes more important, sadly, or whatever. Please take actions as per what your business requirements are.
So with those remarks, we will close the session. I would like to thank all the panelists for putting rich insights in front of everyone. And I'm sure that all of us have picked up certain things which will help us in guiding our next transformational journey.